Let's do a little comparison between Switch OG and the new Switch 2. Let's start powering them both up. Okay, the interface looks on the start screen quite similar to each other. Okay, so that is the home screen. Still very similar, but you can see directly, I would say, that on the Switch 2 it's a little bit more vibrant, the display. Even though it's not OLED, so the black is not black, it's still very poppy, very nice to look at. The OG Switch, memories. Yeah, you can definitely see that this is a little bit more gray looking, I would say. So the colors are not that flashy and poppy. The starting menu is very similar. You feel directly at home if you turn the Switch 2 on, I would say. The main screen is very, very samey. But it is still a little tweaks that make it look just a little bit nice and a little bit modern. Let's talk about the weight and how comfortable the Switch 2 is, or is it improved towards the Switch OG? I'd say the Switch has a quite nice feel to it, but everything is very small for my sausage hands. Yeah, it's a little small. The weight is also, it's fine. You can feel it, but it's nothing major. But I remember in my days that when I played a lot of Mario Kart or something and have to push the A or B button for a long while, the whole hand got numb. But that I experienced also with the Switch 2, so I guess that is maybe just the trade-off to have something portable. And with the Switch 2, you can really feel it's more heavy. I mean, also, but the size is also so much bigger. For me personally, that's a nice trade-off. I love the big screen. Controllers are bigger. I mean, everything is bigger, so that makes sense. It's nicer for my hands. It really is more comfortable to hold. It really feels like this is the adult Switch. So daddy Switch. I like it. I like it. The controls, I mean, the sticks, I don't know, they are okay, especially for the form factor. But they feel a little soft, if that makes sense. Feels a little washy. And that's maybe just me. And in comparison to the Switch OG, it's still definitely an improvement. Even if it's just the size, it's already so much nicer. You know kind of what you are getting when you get the Switch 2. It's similar, but everything is bigger, screen is nicer. The feel to it is nicer. It feels a little bit more expensive. I mean, it also is. But the quality feels really nice. The Switch 2 is more serious than the Switch, I would say. The Switch has this goofy image to it, I would say, especially in the beginning. But now with the Switch 2, it really feels like, okay, now I'm in daddy mode. Let's look at the backside of the consoles. The biggest change here is, of course, the kickstand. But also there, I think it's quite similar to the OLED version with the Switch 2. So the OG Switch just had the one quite flimsy stand where you just could do that. That's it. And you could also get to the micro SD card slot. But that's it. So you can put it just in this angle. That was it. So very big upgrade on the Switch 2, in my opinion. Here the kickstand is in a U shape and it can go all the way up here. That's really cool. So you have a lot of angles where you can choose from. And it also feels much more secure. I mean, that makes sense in comparison to just this small part here. Yep. Also, when you open the U shape, you have the micro SD slot here. Yeah. But except of that, there's not so much to the back. So now one of the most interesting parts, the controller or the mechanism, how you can remove the controller from the Switch. In the old version, you had to push the unlock button here, small one, and then you can push it up, and then you can remove the controller from the screen. And to put it back in, to slide it on top again and snap it in. Yeah. That was for 8 years really working quite well, I must say. After a while also my older controllers didn't click in anymore, so it was quite easy to just get them off without even pushing the unlock button. But overall a nice system. Yeah. And with the Switch 2, now it's all about the magnets. And I'm a fan. It's super cool. I really like it. So this time the unlock button is here on the side and you have to push it in to unlock the magnet system. And then you unlock the controller. And to put it back in, just have to do that. That is so cool. And it feels super sturdy. I was quite scared about that, to be honest, but it feels very secure, very cool. Let's talk about the controllers for a moment. Very nice about the concept of the Switch in general is having directly 2 controllers if you want to play with another person. It's not the most comfortable way to play, I would say, but for some rounds of Mario Kart or Smash Brothers or something like that, that is really fun and easy. So you don't have to buy a second controller to play. You just have 2 controllers on the get-go. That's a really nice benefit of this system. Let's compare the Joy-Cons with each other. So the old version or the OG version, yeah, it's really small, a really small footprint. I mean, for kids, probably not a big deal. I also don't have the biggest hand, but a very meaty hands, I would say. And it's very, yeah, it does its job, but it's not very comfortable, especially if you just have it like that. So with the Switch OG, there was also this adapter coming with it that you could put on top to make it a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more easier to get to the SR and SL buttons. That was a very that is nice, but yeah, it didn't change the feeling of the handling. It's a little bit nicer. It's definitely, you can push the buttons more easily than without it, but size matters, I would say, and this is just, yeah, a very small one, but for some fun Mario Kart courses, it was enough, I would say. So let's talk about the new ones. So the new ones don't have an extension for the SL and SR buttons, but it's also not necessary because this time they are really easy to reach, very nice to push at, and yeah, you definitely don't need it. There's still an adapter for it, but the adapter is for the new mouse mode, kind of. So you have these gliders like on a mouse. It's for the mouse mode, so it makes sense. And you can pop this on to use it as a mouse. Ooh, you can even see left, the mouse mode directly turns on and there's a little mouse. And it works very well. I'm quite impressed with it, but it doesn't do anything for your grip or anything like that. It's still the same. So this one is definitely not necessary if you want to play with this controller. To remove the grip, you also have to do the unlocking again. Quite easy, simple. But the sizing makes really a difference. It's definitely nicer to hold in the hand. It's still not the most comfortable thing, but have it a little bit bigger really helps. So maybe size matters. Also, the texture of the controller is a little bit rougher, I would say. It's not this glossy, plasticky finish like on the old ones. It has a little bit more grip to it. But I'm quite curious if this over times will get these shimmer spots. I don't know how to call them. You know, that this roughness texture is coming off, so it gets glossy on the edges. Very curious about this. I hope not, because I really like the finish. It's really pretty. Also the color accents, it's really a nice one. I still hope, as I presume a lot of people, that they are doing some fun colors over time. But I'm quite curious about it, because if you look at the screen, the color is matching the controller. It's on the blue sides with the blue one. So if you have another color, it wouldn't match with the inside of the console anymore. I mean, it's not a big deal, I presume, but still. Very curious about that. Yeah, but overall with the controllers, nice improvement. Love the magnetic mechanism. It's a great improvement. Love that the SL and SR buttons are bigger now, that you not necessarily need to have this extension for the controller. Also the edges are a little bit more rounded. It feels a little bit nicer in the palm of your hand compared to the old ones, but very minor. I wouldn't say that is such a big design difference. The top of the console, very similar to the old version. The new benefit of the new system is just to have another USB-C on top. That makes playing in handheld mode so much more convenient. Okay, and the bottom part. There we have the USB-C port. And if you open the kickstand, the micro SD slot. And on the new system, the USB-C port, the second one. Then we have the audio. And if you open the kickstand, this time the micro SD slot is on the other side. The old micro SD cards don't work in this system anymore. You need to have now the Express micro SD cards. It's very hard to see because they look similar. You have to look at the EX on the card. Then you're good to go. Beware of that. They are more expensive. For now, there are not a lot of third parties out there that have already the Express SD cards, but I think over time we will have the opportunity to get a little bit more cheaper cards. Luckily on the Switch 2 we have 256 gigabytes of storage compared to the 32 gigabyte on the old system. But also be aware that most of the software nowadays are much more meaty. So I presume if you buy a lot of games virtually, then you run out quite quickly with the storage. But my tip is wait a little bit before you upgrade and buy a microSD card, because I presume microSD express card, because I presume the price will go down when more companies are on the market with their own microSD XS cards. That's it with the comparison between the Switch 2 and the very, very old and loved Switch OG. I really liked my Switch a lot, but I would lie if I'm not being very happy to have now a new Switch system. A very good upgrade, I would say. How do you feel about the new system? Do you think it's a nice upgrade? Did they do enough new stuff after 8 years? Tell me in the comments. If you don't have a Switch 2, are you looking forward to get one in your hand? Or are you like, I will wait a little bit until there are more information out there or more games out there? Let me know. Subscribe, like. Thanks for watching. See you next time at Murphyland. Bye bye.